Hello everyone. In this video, I am going to give an opinion on Tani Ọlọhun and the Isese festival in Ilorin that has been quite of a controversial of recent. But before I just go on into analysis, maybe some might not know who is Tani Ọlọhun. Well, everybody might decide to describe Tani Ọlọhun either based on their sentiments or based on what is clear to them. But as far as I know, I once engaged Tani Ọlọhun maybe some months back where he burned down the Quran because he felt that or he was questioning Muslims that if the Quran was special, then the Quran should not have gotten burnt when he set the Quran on fire. And he comes online on Facebook, of course, attacks Islam or criticizes Islam, like they say, and others will say he defames people, maybe like the Emir of Ilorin. So everybody just describes them according to what is him, according to what is clear to them. So this morning, I saw Amoyele Shore's post where he asked that Shore be free. Tani Ọlọhun be freed now. Of course, yeah, he is an activist and he doesn't like, you know, using the law to oppress people. Okay, now before I go on again, let me also make it clear that I have seen both the good side of the law and then the flaws of the law as far as our country is concerned. I have had issues, and the police have been there. They assisted me, and I felt lucky that they were there because if they were not, it could have been a very messy situation. And at some other point, like when I was in Sokoto, I think about 2 or 3 years ago, so the police there, they treated me unfairly and they were very, very unkind. I was arrested illegally, though I was able to debate my way out with them, not without actually spending some hours with them. And of course, I did nothing. So we cannot make this generalization. We know there are good policemen or police stations, and then we know some that seems to be very corrupt. So as a citizen of Nigeria, I will not at any point, of course, support oppressing people with the law. But nevertheless, as far as I know, or as much as I know, that we have the good ones and the bad ones as well. I also want to be very careful in my judgment so that I do not mistake what is the good ones for the bad ones and vice versa. So now we begin to explore the case of Tani Ọlọhun. Now, Tani Ọlọhun, one of what Tani Ọlọhun did that I can truly speak of is that I saw Tani Ọlọhun on Facebook burning passages of the Quran. Of course, I am a Muslim, so you must have expected what my sentiment or my position would be, given that I'm a Muslim. Now, he burned the Quran, and following that, he did some several other things that called for Muslims to, of course, respond to him, always and all that. Like I did respond to him as well, just once when he burned the Quran, because I had to just make him understand that when you burn the Quran, which is a paper, it does not necessarily mean that Islam is false, or maybe Muslims are supposed to start crying, because we don't necessarily base our belief on those mere pages. Now, when he was arrested, I made a post on Facebook about his arrest, but I got attacked. But I got attacked by who? I got attacked by Esther, by Johnson, by Peter. I did not get attacked by Ifamuiwa or Oshunfumbi or Fagbenro. I was attacked by Christians, and I started to wonder what is the relationship between Tani and Christians, that some Christians are now the spokespersons for Tani. Is it really because they like justice, or is it because Tani is serving their interest to say? Now, if you follow me, you can see I engage in debates and arguments a lot. But then, if you live in a society, there are ways you go about with your disagreements and with your criticism. And this is why we will now begin to call the sense of justice of those who are supporting Daniel Long. We will now begin to now call their sense of justice, or we begin to now debate it. Let's assume that we have a Muslim who does not agree with Christianity, and then the Muslim now goes on to burn the Bible because he or she thinks that, or he or she assumes that by doing so, he or she is disapproving or debunking Christianity. Now, to maintain law and order in that state, this person gets arrested. And let's even assume that this person also even defames people. But let's leave defamation aside. Let's just leave burning a religious book. Okay, let's assume you think that, okay, let's assume that you agree that it has no power, it has nothing else and all that. But then you burn the book in a society where you have millions of people who belong to that faith. Now, if you get arrested, so my own part of Islamic activism will not make me start fighting for your rights, because you are obviously wrong. That is if you are a Muslim. So if people who support Daniel are actually agents of peace, if they really love that peace that they accuse Muslims of not having, there is no way you will ever support someone who decides to instigate people, who decides to disrespect people by burning passages of their religious scripture. And then there comes the old argument, don't fight for God. If you ask that people should not fight for God, how about people respecting people who believes in God? If someone is a Muslim and he burns the Bible, or he burns the passages where Ifa verses, were written, I am not going to support that Muslim. Now, we'll take examples of blasphemy in the north. Let's say someone commits a blasphemy, or someone is assumed to have committed a blasphemy, and then he gets killed. Now, this same set of people start to talk, oh, Muslims are this, oh, Muslims are that. That is on the one side. Now, on the other side, someone down here does something that is capable of making people angry. Now, he gets to get arrested. So when you burn passages of the Quran, it is only if you are mischievous and you are being hypocritical that you think that Muslims should keep quiet and like, oh, it doesn't matter. So that means if we live in a society where we have Muslims, Christians, and traditional worshippers, and maybe Jews and some atheists, all those and all that, and everyone is free to disrespect everyone's belief or everyone's thoughts, then we are going to have issues other than what they are trying to portray as of now. Well, while it is going to be debatable and objectionable as to whether, okay, is the Yoruba people's version of religious tolerance, is it actually tolerance? But the thing is that the southwest part of Nigeria, it has the reputation of religious tolerance. Muslims, Christians, and let's just say traditional worshippers for the context of this video. Let's just agree, let's just use that. We have been existing in peace for quite a while now, compared to some other places. So do we really want to turn the country or the southwestern part of Nigeria to a region where a Bashir can wake up in the morning and start to burn the Bible? And then if he also even burns the Bible, he can even go ahead to pee on the church. Or you have a signboard where they draw the image of Jesus, which of course I would not agree with. And then I go there because I don't like it, and I now start to desecrate or to just pee on that poster. And then a Christian also does that to a masjid. And then another person goes there to the shrine, and the traditional worshipper also goes there to do that either in the mosque or in the church as well. Now there's going to be disorder. So what do you want? So should people who do this kind of things, are we saying that we should leave people to act on their own, or that the law should actually take charge of it? So this is why, regardless of your sentiments, you have to be careful of what you support. Now, this is also a note to the likes of Omoyele Sowore. Yeah, Sowore is a politician, and the last thing you really want to do, as far as the Southwest is concerned, is pitching yourself against the Muslims. Of course, we have that figure. So you really want to be careful with how with your position on things. Would I ask you to fight for the right of a fellow human being? Of course. I like activism too. I don't like people to be oppressed. But there is something very important that you should know. We should not, in the name of our will, so want to fight for the rights of people, we should not let some certain kinds of people capitalize on the existing prejudice we have in our community, and then to also use us or to fool us, except if we are active players in that scenario as well. Okay, well, we have seen that, okay, Muslims and Christians, where they have some points where they don't agree, and then they have points where they agree, as well as we have the traditional worshippers as well. So because I know that, Muslims know Bashir, Lucas, Samson, Lukman, so I just want to do anything either against the traditional worshippers or against the Christians, because I know Muslims will support me because I understand their prejudices or I understand their sentiments. And then I start to take advantage of their sentiments to achieve my own aim, because I expect that they are going to stand up or stand with me. It doesn't make any sense. And that is where critical thinking becomes a thing. So for the likes of Tani Olohun, before you start to say, Tani Olohun this, don't fight for God, don't do this, have you actually told Tani Olohun, for example, that don't you think it is inappropriate to go online and start to accuse people of what they have not done, or to even burn a religious scripture that they believe to be sacred? If you have a sense of justice, you don't pardon instigators and then blame people who are reacting to instigation. It should not be done like that. And like I said, if a Muslim were to burn people's religious scriptures, expecting me to stand up with him because I'm a Muslim and because he wants me to think that I'm serving the purpose of Islam, then there's something wrong. Tani Olohun, he parades himself as an agent of peace. He says he wants peace, we must maintain peace. But the way of peaceful people is not to disrespect people. If I tell you that I want peace to occur between Muslims and Christians and traditional worshippers in Yoruba land, what I could do, for example, is to facilitate maybe religious dialogue that is peaceful, or find a way to make sure that, okay, let's come to some certain form of reasoning. I am not going to burn the Christians' Bible because I want the Christians to maintain peace with the Muslims and the traditional worshippers. If I do that, and I get to know the consequences, and I ask you to come and stand up with me or to defend me, then you should assume that there is something wrong with me. That is one. But on the part of getting arrested, what I know as far as I'm concerned is that he was arrested because he defamed the emir of Ilorin. And can you be arrested because you defamed someone? Of course, you can be arrested as far as Nigeria is concerned. But as a Nigerian living in Nigeria, knowing what the Nigerian system is and how we can have both good and bad people, I am always very careful of what I support. I need to have full understanding before I say I support the police or not. There are times I will agree with the police and there are times that I will disagree with them. I don't want to agree with them when maybe they are necessarily doing what is wrong, because at the end of the day, I might also become a victim of that too. But when they are doing what is right, I will agree with them. So before we start to demand that, oh, release Tani Olohun, why are we demanding that Tani Olohun be released? Is it because he has done what we think to be morally right as far as our sense of justice or our moral foundation is concerned? Is it because we just hate Muslims or Islam and we just want to use him as a tool to further instigate Muslims or vex Muslims? Or do we think, or do we really truly think that, oh, this person has been illegally arrested, you can arrest him for what he did, and then, but make sure the arrest is fair? Anyone who says that, okay, disrespecting people by burning passages of their book is wrong. Defaming someone, accusing them of what they have not done, is wrong. But at the same time, we don't have to arrest people illegally or detain people illegally. That is fine. Your sense of justice does not have a problem, and you are not being a hypocrite. But if your own idea of releasing Tani Olohun is that what has he done wrong, then that is a problem if you have not seen what he has done wrong. So Tani Olohun, if he claims, I'm going to conclude here, so if he claims that he's an agent of peace and he wants peace to reign as far as the Southwest is concerned, we have even had that peace. He is disrupting that peace. And disrupting that peace is by trying to vex Muslims, is by disrespecting Muslims. Like I said again, if a Muslim disrespects the Christians or the traditional worshippers, whether he accuses Kumi of what he has not done, or whether he accuses, let's say, Elebubon of what he has not done, or he goes out there on Facebook Live to say, and then he burns passages of the Bible or of the Ifa, yeah, I can't support him because it is wrong. Even though that person claims to serve the purpose of Islam. So my dear agents of peace, my dear sensible, reasonable people who think you should support Tani Olohun on account of what he's doing, if you consider him to be an agent of peace or the one who is going to sanitize Southwest Nigeria, now that is ridiculous. And this is time for you to start thinking. And again, Shure, I will agree with you if your position is that maybe he was illegally arrested. I mean, I don't know. What I know is that he did what was wrong and the police arrested him. So was he detained illegally? Now, that is what you can go to court for and challenge that. I'm not going to have anything against you on that. But not saying the part where Tani Olohun has done something wrong, or you and any other thinking that the Muslims should be peaceful and the definition of that peace should be that they should keep quiet when it comes to instigation, because we should not necessarily fight for God. If you have a real sense of justice, fairness, and respect, the first thing you could have done is to ask the instigator to stop his instigation so that people will not react to that act of instigation, which is very important. Then your sense of justice and fairness and respect is going to be balanced. Now, let's go to Isese Festival. The matter of the Isese Festival, or even Ilorin as a whole, is in itself a complicated affair. There have been arguments whether Ilorin is a Yoruba land or whether it is not, and you will see that majority of Ilorin people, they say they are at peace with Ilorin being its emirate, and they are just at peace with identifying as Ilorin, not necessarily Yoruba belongs to the Yoruba, doesn't do that, which is objectionable. Now, when it was said that that festival has to be cancelled, I received lots of messages. Lots of messages. Oh, Lucas, are you going to talk about this? Oh, some people said this is what has happened in Ilorin. Are you talking about this? I read the articles from Wole Soyinka. I read articles, counter rebutals to Wole Soyinka. Oh God, it was a whole lot of grammars on both ends. Of course, if you want to respond to Soyinka, it does a lot of grammars. I mean, where no craft thought. Now, it is a very difficult matter for me to talk about, and I will explain why. Now, we have the case of Maisha Obi. Well, I am the founder of the No Islam Project. We, of course, see to the affairs of rivers that have embraced Islam, and we also see that Muslims are not oppressed, which is one part of a human rights organization or a Muslim rights organization at the same time. Now, we have the case of Aisha Tobi. Aisha Tobi is an Igbo Muslim. She has a daughter. And then the IPO, I have been in the Southeast, I've known, or I have the first-hand experience of what it is like to be a Muslim over there. Now, Aisha Tobi texted me and said her life was in danger. Or they were after her because she's a Muslim. Like, talk to people who raised money. We took Aisha Tobi and her daughter to the Southwest to stay till everything dies down. On several accounts, I have had to make sure that we protect the lives and the interests of Muslims in the Southeast. Now, as far as the Constitution of Nigeria is concerned, which is what I quote whenever I'm standing up for the rights of Muslims in Southeast, for example, or maybe a Muslim was denied of a job because of the hijab or the khimar. And then I will quote the Nigerian Constitution, that says every citizen of Nigeria has freedom of religion and of belief. So it may not be justifiable for me to quote that law in July to support the interests of a Muslim, and for me to now also support not quote that same law or ignore that law when another person's interest is called into question. So is it right because a place is dominated by Muslims and the Muslims there now say that, oh, you are not allowed to celebrate your festival here? Now, it is not even don't practice your religion or your belief here, because we know there are lots of them in Ilorin. But the thing there is you can't practice your festival here. So now, objectively speaking, my first line of thought was, if we have, let's say, 10 Muslims in Enugu, for example, and then the Enugu people says here, let's say they say, majority of us were Catholics, and then this your belief is quite contrary to our belief, and that we don't want you to, to just pollute our land in quotes with your Islamic faith. You can practice your Islam. Let's just assume you can have your mosque if you want, okay. But then, if you want to celebrate your Eid, you can't celebrate your Eid here because it is not part of our own culture in this land. Now, let us look at Ilorin, for example, because we are talking about freedom of religion and we need to be very objective. I don't think that there is never at any point that it is said that most Christians, as far as this is Ilorin and this Ilorin is dominated by Muslims, you can't celebrate Christmas. It has never been said, because at least Christmas would assume it's an aspect of the Christian religion of course, contemporarily. They have never said Christians should not celebrate Christmas. Neither have they said Christians should not celebrate Easter as well. We have never heard that. What we are hearing is that You traditional worshippers, Isheshe people, you may practice your religion or your faith if you want, but you can't celebrate your festival. So why are they in Ilorin saying that, oh, Muslim Christians, you can celebrate your Easter, you can celebrate your Christmas, you can even on your Easter day, there are big churches in Ilorin. On Easter day, you can even pretend or assume that someone was Jesus Christ, someone acts as Jesus Christ, carries the cross, and then you flog him. You can even do that in Ilorin, even though it is dominated by Muslims. But then, you traditional worshippers, you can't celebrate your festival. So what exactly seems to be wrong? And why, if really the Ilorin people or the Emir of Ilorin does not respect people's religion, so why are they allowing people or Christians celebrate their festivals and then the traditional worshippers cannot? Now that is only one side. So going back to Enugu as my example. Now it did not say this your religion, well, where you can practice your religion, but then you can't celebrate your Eid here because it is contrary to our belief. It is not part of our culture and all that. This is Enugu. We don't do that here. Now I'm going to run and quote the Constitution of Nigeria and say, no, celebrate it. We are definitely going to celebrate it there because the Constitution of Nigeria supports it. Now, that is an example. And that is why it can be quite complicated for me because I would use that law to protect the interests of a Muslim. So where now I appear to be kind of dominant, I mean it will be quite complicated for me to now act contrary to that law to say. Now, coming back to Ilorin. In Ilorin, Christians are free to practice their religion, same as traditional worshippers as far as I know. Christians can celebrate Christmas and then they can celebrate Easter. But now it is said that the Isese people cannot celebrate Isese festival, which is what we are dealing with. Now, it is not in my place whether or not, because like I've analyzed now, the Isese people are not the only religious group or people who have faith or belief system in Ilorin. We have the Christians that we can assume, right? And I don't think if Jews want to do their procession in Ilorin, I don't think it's going to be a problem. So why is the case of Isese people different? Okay, some say, maybe from what I read, that okay, well, it could disturb the peace of Ilorin. Now, I don't really have total idea about that. How it could affect the peace of Ilorin is up to those who say they should not practice or they should not celebrate that festival. But why is there a law? And this is where I'm now going to link this back to Tani Olohun, and then I'm going to end this video. If you think you have a case under the law as far as Nigeria is concerned, can you trust the law fully to be fair? In some sense, yes. In some sense, no. Because I will tell you, realistically speaking, you meet the good side of the law, good people who would uphold the law and follow the law. And then you will meet people who are corrupt as well. So if you are lucky enough, or if you are strong enough, or if you know your audience enough, even if someone is corrupt, you might be able to have your day at court. You might be able to win your case or your argument. But if you don't know your stand well enough, well, I mean, we know that there's of course some corruption going on, but it's not black and white. So if you think that as an Isese person, the Constitution of Nigeria permits you to celebrate your festival anywhere as far as this country is concerned, I am not a human rights activist. I've said that many times. I am a Muslim rights activist, and I make the rights of Muslims my own priority. So if you are an Isese rights activist and you think that the law allows you to do something and some people are trying to act contrary to that law or they are disrespecting that law, go to the court and state your case. You definitely must have lawyers and SANs, amongst you. Go to the court. This is the section of the Constitution that protects your rights as an Isese person. and it shows that you can celebrate your festival in Ilorin, okay. And then if you are not able to prove that, fine. And that is why we always need to always follow the law. So two things: if you're an Isese or traditional practice adherent, and you think that your right has been disrespected or violated on account of you not being able to celebrate your Isese festival in Ilorin, go to the courts. Take the matter to the courts. So because Muslims will feel that they have been disrespected in a country like Nigeria, someone goes there and burns the Quran. That is terrible, that is bad. And you can't tell me you are a peaceful person, you are fair, you want people to learn how to respect others, and then you support that type of atrocity. It is bad. You want to support that because you don't want people to fight for God, but you know that this thing is people's sentiments, it is people's belief. So leave them with what they fight for or what they do not fight for. Is it their belief? Yes. Should someone instigate them or incite violence by burning people's religious scriptures? No. And that is what you need to see. And that is how you should be seeing these things. Now, the Muslims felt that they have been disrespected, and then they called that the one who disrespected them, or the emir who feels that he has been demeaned or disparaged or defamed, he asked the Lord, he didn't go there to burn Tani Olohun's house. No Muslim went there to beat Tani Olohun, so what do you want? If some 10 people had gone there to kill Tani Olohun, you will say Muslims are violent. If some people had gone there to burn his house or to do something because he burns the Quran, there will be disorder. You won't be safe, I won't be safe, everyone will be fighting. And then you will say Muslims are not tolerant, and then you will still excuse the instigator. What did they now do? They talked to the law. This is what this person is doing. We don't want violence. Now we want peace. Instead of saying we don't want peace, we want violence. But now we want peace, we don't want violence. Talk to this person. If he wants to go on talking about how good traditional practice is and how we should be respectful, that's okay. But to defame people or to burn people's religious scripture, no, that's not okay. And then they took him to the law. So what is your problem? Why are you angry? What exactly is the problem? But if you think that the arrest was illegal and maybe he has been illegally detained, go to the court for that as well. And that is why we have the law. Whether or not you can trust the law, I will say again objectively, depends on your situation and depends on how grounded we are, and we hope that that changes in the country. But whether or not the law can be corrupt as far as this country is concerned, there is no justification to excuse the excesses of Tani Olohun in the name of either not liking Muslims or trying to bring about respect and tolerance and peace in Yoruba land. Those actions are counterproductive to peace as far as our land is concerned. Thank you very much.